Let's talk a little bit about contractors. Now, why do we want to talk about contractors? You're looking to sell a house. Doesn't necessarily mean like why do you need a contractor? So sometimes there are a situation you may be in a position where you could make improvements, upgrades to your house. Maybe you're in that situation. Maybe you want to go into rehabbing houses for profit like we do. Whatever the situation is, or even if you don't see yourself needing a contractor at all, I think I want to bring you in a little bit to my world as a rehabber that for us, the relationship with a contractor is one of the cornerstones of our business. If we don't have a great relationship with a contractor, we don't have a business. And from the lessons I've learned and what I've gotten so far, I think you can get value even just about having relationships with people. It's just, the relationship with the contractor is a relationship, and that's something very important. So we're going to talk about negotiating, finding the right contractor, and then how to negotiate if you are in a situation where you need to negotiate better prices from your contractor. What's the best way to do that? And I hope that I can give you enough value here that you can extract and take into your life, even if it's not specifically like about a contractor or working like a rehabber like I do. So let's start. So the first thing that you need to do is find the right contractor. But what does that mean? So for us as rehabbers, the right contractor is a contractor that we called investor friendly. Okay, basically a contractor that understands our business, understands that for us it's only about numbers, and he needs to make his best effort to fit into our numbers. If he comes with the mentality of, I don't care about your business, I have my business and these are my prices and that's the way it is not the person for us as the rehabbers, but also he may not be the person for you if you're trying to get value from us and how to lower prices. So if you want to follow us and lower your prices, see how we do that. So we're looking for the investor-friendly contractor. Now, how do we find them? That's a very good question, because trust me, this is one of the hardest thing in our business too, is how to find a great contractor. Not necessarily such an easy thing. So one thing you can do is go on Facebook groups. You can join investor Facebook groups of whatever kind, and then just search for your city and basically ask on the group, does anybody have a contractor you can recommend in Boston or wherever you are. So that's one way. You may get lucky there, although a lot of investors don't like to share because they don't want you to keep their great. If they found a great contractor, they don't want him to get too busy so that it doesn't get to them. So that's how it usually is, but you may get lucky. Second thing is, some people recommend go to Home Depot at 5 a.m. or 6 early in the morning and talk to the contractors that are there. They're already demonstrating that they're early risers, and I have never done that, to be frank, but it's an interesting concept, so you can try that. Another thing you can do is go on the contractors board for your city, and they will, at least in Las Vegas, they give you a list of all the contractors. If you have time on your hands, start giving them a call and say, are you experienced with working with investors? So I've done that before, and we actually found a few good contractors that way. Make sure that their bid dollar amount is not too high. So basically, if they're qualified for $40 million jobs, it's probably somebody that works in industrial and stuff like that. It's not your little friendly investor contractor. So look for, I would say, between I think the minimum is like 500 and 25,000 bid amount for the contractor that you're more likely to want to work with. So that's number one. Number two, in my opinion, it's good and important to have to actually like each other. And that may be controversial because a lot of people are going to say, what do you mean I need to like each other? This is a business. Let's grow up here. Just work and be courteous and be nice. But who said you have to like the person? So that's my personal opinion. Okay. And there's something behind it. In my business, I need to, I need to have energy in my day. I need to have light. I need to have joy and happiness. I don't want dragging energy. It's not helpful for my business if I don't want to pick up the phone for my contractor because I don't like, it's not good in my business, and I think it's not good anywhere. So in my personal opinion, you should like each other. You should like each other. You should be happy to pick up the phone and not say, just go to voicemail, tell me what's the problem so I can deal with it later and stuff like that. Rather, I choose the contractors where I see them calling, even if I feel and I understand maybe there's a problem. I'm like, okay, so let's deal with the problem. Hey, how's it going? What's up? What's going on? And let's deal with it. So that starts from liking each other, in my opinion. So that's point number 2 that is very important, again, for me. Number 3 is, and this is a little bit spiritual, but I think it's important in any relationship. And the question is, are you going to be the giver or are you going to be the taker? Okay? And I know it's a little hard, but, stay with me on this. What does it mean to be the giver? It doesn't necessarily mean that you are the one who gives stuff, So you could be thinking, but I always give them a Christmas present. That's beautiful. Keep on doing that. That's beautiful. But it's not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to by being the giver, sometimes it's a thought. It's just a thought. Before you pick up the phone, or as you're picking up the phone, there is 2... how you doing, Bob, and how you doing, Bob, okay? How you doing from a figure of speech, because I have to say something and let's get back to what I want and what I need is one, how you doing. But I'm asking myself and you, if you want to develop this great relationship, the first second when you say how you doing, try to actually go in your mind like, how are you doing? Like, what's life like for you right now? Are you happy? You're sad? Is there a major challenge going on? Your wife or husband, your kids, like, how are you? Like, what's up? What's really going on? And just by having that thought, you become the giver. From there, you'll probably sometimes have an opportunity to actually give, because they may open up and say, yeah, it's really bad, and there or there, and maybe you'll be able to actually offer advice, offer your time, offer resources. You may be actually able to give in that way, but it starts from a thought. So I'm sorry that it seems to be not maybe relevant, but in my opinion, it is relevant. And you'll see later on that if you want to negotiate with a contractor, by being the giver first, you come in from a totally different place. So be the giver first. When you talk to them, see, what's up with them? Is there anything I can care for you? Is there anything I can do for you? If you do that, you become the giver. Next, I would say, and then being the giver in the relationship means first the thought that we just mentioned, and then any other way you can find to be the giver. All right, so let's talk about a few ways to be the giver. 1, pay them ASAP. The faster you pay them, they feel it, and you feel it, and the energy in the relationship feels it. If you are putting them on the back burner, that's okay, they can be the last or whatever, that it creates that kind of energy, and they feel it, and everybody feels it. So pay them ASAP. Now I know that some companies, it's the way they do things. It's only every Friday and whatever. That's okay, but at least even if only in your thought that you inject that thought, we should make sure that they get paid on Friday, that we're not late a second. And if it's not Friday, then maybe I can pay them right away, as soon as possible. The faster you pay them, they will feel it. Next, I have here, pick up the phone when they call you. Now, I've been guilty. I've had situations where the contractor that I love and get along with got too busy and wanted me to work with people under him, and I didn't necessarily have the same relationship with them, and you could feel it. And I would see the phone from them, and I'm like, I don't want to pick it up. All right, just leave me a message and I'll call you back or text you back and figure out how to solve the problem that you're probably calling me about. It's not good. So hopefully you find the actual contractor that you can work with, that you like, and then make sure to answer the phone. When you answer the phone, they will answer their phone. Everything is mirroring. When you answer the phone, you're telling them they're important to you, the relationship is important to you, and you keep the energy very high and elevated. All right, so that's very important. If not, at least give them a feeling that that they are important by returning their call ASAP or text. Next, I have here, whenever the ball is in your court, pass it back to them ASAP. So many times your contractor is going to need something from you. They have a question. What color scheme are we using? You need to make a decision, and they're waiting on you. The worst thing you can do is let the contractor wait on you. Whenever they're waiting on you, pass it like it's a hot potato. As soon as possible, give it back to them. Give them the answer. Give them what they need. And, it's do as I say, not as I do. I've been guilty of that. Life sometimes happens, and you can't give them the answer right away, but at least know how important that is. And it will make a tremendous difference. Whether you take your time, if you take your time, you know what's going to happen? They will take their time too. And then when you need something ASAP, they're going to get back with you tomorrow. And then when that happens, the relationship will deteriorate and deteriorate and deteriorate until it's just the end. It's just a matter of time. So it starts with you. When you get back with them, whatever they need, pass the ball back to them. What's the color? Here's the color. Go. What's this decision? This is the decision. Go. The more you do that, the more they will respond in like when you need something from them ASAP, they will put everything away and do that for you. So it's so important. Now we're talking a lot about the relationship, and you'll see why that is important in negotiation. First, you have to have a relationship and be the giver in that relationship, and then you can receive back and ask. I have here, on projects that are more profitable, find a way to share it. So let's say this is for us again as rehabbers. I have projects that I know I'm going to make a better return or more money on. On those projects, I need to figure out how to give it back to the contractor. Now, give it back to the contractor doesn't necessarily mean you give them a bonus, although that's always a good idea. But just in your mind, I don't know, if here's an example. That they have in their stock a lot of stuff that they got stuck with, countertop. And it's not necessarily your favorite, okay? In projects that you're going to be successful anyway, that you figure out, I'm going to make a killing on this one, try to give them everything that, that they need. Use that countertop that they like if you're okay with it, if it works for you. Or, I don't know, for example, that there is a method that they like that costs a little bit more, all right? It's using this subcontractor for the landscaping, and it works out well for them, but for you try to save money in other projects. Or whatever it is that you have an opportunity that is preferable for them, but it costs a little bit more. Go for those options when you have more profit. Find ways to give it back to them. Give them. It's almost like you want to pay them in a way. All right. So, and then we'll feel it. So that's very important in the relationship. So now that you have established a relationship with them, and you like each other, and you do everything for each other, and you always try to do the most that you can for them. Now, from time to time, you can also negotiate with them. But it's not always, don't make it too much of a habit, or, it's just, you can't always negotiate. Nobody likes that. They're either going to jack up the price to start with so that they can negotiate down for you for where they want to be in the first place. Stuff like that, if you always try to negotiate. But from time to time, now that you establish a relationship, you can. The best way, and in my opinion, probably the only way that you can negotiate with a contractor is now you can bring them in. What do I mean by that? I'll start with the opposite. If you don't have a relationship and you haven't done any of the steps before, you can try to bring them in, but they're going to be like, for example, you can say, I bought this house for $300,000. I know the best comp is at 375,000, so I don't have that much to work with. Somehow I need for 30,000 to make the house look like this house, which is the best comp. What do you think? How can we accomplish this? This is bringing them in, okay? Bring them into your world. This is the best way, in my opinion, to negotiate. Is you're not in your mind, you're not negotiating. In your mind, they're your friend now. They should want to give you, because you've been the giver until now. And now from that point, you can bring them in and say, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm looking at. These are the numbers. These are the best results that I could get if I do this. You can bring them into your world and describe to them what you're looking at from your point of view. Again, you can only do that from a point that you've earned it. You have a relationship. You gave. Now you can say, hey, I want to bring you into my world so you can see what I'm looking at. If you haven't done step 1, 2, 3 before, and you haven't become the giver, and you say, hey, I want to show you, I bought it for this price, and this is what I can do, and they're going to be like, what do you want from me? I'm just a contractor. These are my prices. Take it or leave it. And that's what do you want from me? But if you worked on 1, 2, 3, you have a relationship, you were the giver, now you can bring them in and say, okay, I want to share with you, this is what happened. I think I paid a little bit too much for it. I really should have bought it for $290, but I bought it for $300. I want to show you, by the way, just as a side note, I use Marco Polo because I can show them the screen and I can show them what the best looking house is looking like, what they did to it, and how much it sold for. So I'm really bringing them in for everything, the process that I'm looking at. So I said, I should have bought it for $290, but I had to buy it, so I paid $300. Here's the best looking house. This is what it looks like, and it only got $375. So that's the best that I can get. And if we spend $45,000 like we usually do, it's going to put me in the red. It's just the numbers are not going to work. All right. So I need to find a way to be at 35,000, but I got to make it look as much as possible to this higher comp or the best sales price that we found. What do you think? Bring them in. And it's going to be like a conversation, and they're going to want to help you. And if there's any way they can help you, they will. See how it's so different? This is how I prefer to negotiate. I prefer to negotiate from a place that I usually don't want to. I don't want to always ask, cut your price. And it's not where I'm coming from, and it can't be where I'm coming from because it's not going to last for too long. It's not going to work. But if I was the giver, from time to time, I can say, this is where I'm at. What do you think? Help. Let's try to, can you help me figure this out? Do you have any suggestion, any ideas? And they're going to work with you on accomplishing the result that you need. See how beautiful that is? So that's always how I try to do it. I try to build a relationship, work with people that I like, give to them, maintain the relationship, every possible way for me that I can give them. I try to take that, and then when I need something, I don't ask, hey, give me that thing. I try to bring them in. This is my angle. This is where I'm looking at. Anything you can advise or help with, and you would be surprised. And many times, sometimes they would flat out say, you know what? Let me just give you a X amount of discount so you can make it work. And they feel good about it because they're giving back to you. They're not giving to the taker, they're giving to the giver. It feels great to give to the giver. A person that always gives you enjoy giving them back. So that's my tip on how to negotiate with a contractor. It's a little different, I think, than what you would expect, but I think it's very powerful and it works, and that's how I do it. One last note there. Is I wrote down, the more you are real, the more they're gonna want to help you. So if they like smell that you're just manipulating, you gotta be real. That's a key. We spoke about you being a giver, but also about being real. Don't hide your intentions, or don't say something that you don't mean. You have to be, just be real. This is where I'm at, and don't lie. If you lie, everybody smells those things. So you gotta be real and expose and say, this is what it is, you know. And if they smell that you're trying to manipulate, they will try to manipulate you as well, or even worse, they not want to work with you anymore. So be real, be the giver, establish a relationship, like them, have fun, and you'll get amazing results. Hope you found value in this video, and I'll see you on the next one.